Wages in European football are at an all-time high. The richest clubs can pay the game's best players astronomical figures. But is this good for the competitiveness of the game? And can anything be done to stop it? Hello and welcome to Football Now from Doha. Since its inception in 1992, the collective wages of Premier League players has increased by nearly 3,000%. And as time goes on, it seems that the fees the big clubs can offer the top players is near limitless. The league's current highest earner is Manchester City's Kevin De Bruyne, earning a staggering €400,000 a week. So let's take a look at how we got to these figures, and will the bubble ever burst?
We look at wages now, right? We look at how, at 1990, John Barnes is the highest paid player in English football, 10 grand a week. Then we move on to Dennis Bergkamp, £22,000 a week with Arsenal. Then we get to Roy Keane, 52 grand a week in 99-2000 after United won the treble. And then we move up to Sol Campbell, 2001, 100,000, 500,000 for Alexis Sanchez, 250,000 a week for Yaya Toure. Who could have predicted the exponential rise? Where's it going to be in 10 years' time? Football has shown that you cannot predict where the market is going to be in a year's time, let alone 5 years' time.
The top clubs will always be frontrunners to sign the best players. But how can the Premier League help level the playing field? Crystal Palace chairman Steve Parish recently called for a salary cap to be introduced to put a ceiling on how much players can earn. We've seen examples of spending limits work in other sports. 4 of the USA's top sports operate under a salary cap, while in motorsport, Formula 1 imposed a maximum budget that teams could spend on developing their car during a season. Both types of restrictions are thought to have had a positive impact.
The spending cap in Formula 1 is an attempt really to bring all of the teams closer together in terms of the financial weight really that they're able to throw at the sport. Even fairly recently, up until the budget cap was introduced, that the top teams especially could spend 5, 6, 7 times more than the teams further down the grid over the course of a season. So the budget cap is around $135, $140 million for the season. You had Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, Aston Martin, all of which at various points in the season were the second quickest car, or had the second quickest car. And there were times during the season where that balance of power seemed to almost, the order changed on a race-by-race basis. It was really exciting, actually. It was probably one of the most competitive seasons behind Red Bull, behind the winners that we've ever had. It just got lost because you just had one team that was winning everything. So from that perspective, hopefully that is the budget cap having its effect. And if that is the case, then that's great. That's really good for the sport.
Well, we can see how the concept works in other sports, but could the same be said if it was applied to European football? It may not be as simple due to how all-encompassing and international the sport is on a global scale.
Look, it could benefit some clubs. Some clubs, there is a strong argument for it. But same as in any other industry, you'll probably see a talent drain because there's going to be one outlier. Unless this is enforced across all of every body within FIFA or every league within FIFA's jurisdiction, you're going to see a talent drain in football. You're going to see players going to wherever the best market is. So you're talking about something which it has to be far-reaching. It's got to go to every corner of the world. Okay, Mexico's a good example because, for years, players have always been paid well there. So they might think, well, we only have to pay a certain amount more than what the Premier League and La Liga and Bundesliga is paying to attract the best players, and we market our league accordingly.
So, if a salary cap isn't the answer, how do football associations finally balance the ability for teams to compete for the top players, while also spending within their means? The Premier League's profit and sustainability rules are supposed to be a deterrent, but it's not enough for some clubs like Everton and Nottingham Forest, who have both recently received points deductions as a result of breaking them. The UK government passed a football governance bill in Parliament because of this. The legislation will grant powers to a body, independent of both government and football authorities, to monitor clubs in England's top 5 tiers.
Largely, it is supported, but there's an interesting dynamic between the Premier League and a prospective independent regulator. The Premier League have always argued that they can self-govern and regulate, and the independent regulator will change the dynamic in certain key issues that usually would be dealt with internally within the Premier League. So one is governance, 2 is new ownership, and this so-called definition of control, and therefore an independent regulator may construe the eligibility of a prospective owner differently to how the Premier League does. And then the third aspect may be down to financial rules and any potential punishments and clubs becoming sustainable, and that will be a big thing. So I expect the regulator to help English football, and now the independent regulator will have to be more transparent, which means we ourselves should start to see more clearly the process behind football, and that's a positive thing for integrity and transparency. That should mean that football becomes smoother and cleaner and evolves with modern times.
The future of salaries in football is certainly a hot topic at the moment, but that's all we have time for this week. Do let us know your thoughts using the hashtag FootballNowSalaryCap, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.